Hello and welcome to the Introduction to Positioning. I'm Thad the Thadpole and we're going to be talking about mastering the microgame. Being in position simply means ready to do more damage than you're going to take. It can also mean that you might not get to do very much damage, but you set up a fight for your team to do a lot. Knowing when to stop fighting and make a clean retreat to disengage and reset is just as important as being ready to hit that 5-man black hole. Being out of position generally means we've stepped too far and entered a cast or attack range of something we don't want to be in. There's no counterplay, we're out of position. You can see in this clip that Weaver uses Sakuchi to dodge a tower shot, but ends up in range of Blade Fury, resulting in death. With the spell on cooldown, there's no counterplay. Positioning translates directly to map awareness. Without awareness, you will not be able to position correctly. There's a lot of information to be aware of. Positioning, even at the highest levels of play, is going to be far from perfect. There's a lot of guessing involved of where heroes might be, or when they might pick up a certain item, so you'll notice that the best of the best will always err on the side of caution. When it comes to calculating EHP and DPS, consider their total HP, armor, magic resist, evasion, damage block, and HP regen. You want to think about how many opportunities there are for damage to be reduced. If there are a lot of instances of reduction, each point of HP gains more and more value, and regeneration becomes more and more powerful. Certain ability and item combinations can result in tens of thousands of effective HP, such as Oracle's False Promise on Necrophosis Ghost Shroud. The EHP being very high in this situation because the damage is delayed, HP regen is doubled, and then multiplied again by 1.75. If you have more sustain than they have DPS, you have infinite EHP provided you have mana. Buyback is also a handy way to increase or double your EHP. DPS is a much more simple calculation. Think of each point of attack speed as a 1% increase to your DPS. That 1% increase is multiplied by procs, such as Bash or Javelins. Spell damage calculation is marginally affected by spell amp, more heavily influenced by the resistance of your opponent. It's important to note what kind of amplifications are available, such as ethereal states or resistance reduction spells. While magic damage typically does less than pure damage, it has an advantage of being more easily increasable. Move speed is important in the DPS calculation. You need an advantage in order to chase an opponent with auto attacks, as you're forced to stand still for the duration of your attack point. A-walking allows you to ignore the backswing of your attack point, lets you do more DPS by moving closer to your opponent faster. MS becomes increasingly relevant as the game progresses. You can position on the map more aggressively and have the ability to retreat at an advantage over your opponents. When it comes to the very beginning of the laning stage, the damage values are small and easy to calculate. You see the Bristle plans stack up Quill Sprays, as Keep Their Light attempts to catch us off guard with an Illuminate. When Bristle steps too far and gets shackled, he's made a misstep, but he's managed to keep the stacks of Quill Spray. The secondary Illuminate looks like a guaranteed return kill on the Weaver until he salves at the last second and saves him. Had Keeper clicked on Weaver here, he would have aggroed the creeps, perhaps died as well, but his aggressive posturing without actually trying to break the salve baits mana out of Shaman. The next wave, Bristle is once again caught too far forward. Tanking the whole creep wave in combination with the minus armor from Weaver proves too much. This kind of play can signify that Bristle is used to playing with a lead, and we can target their over-aggressive positioning. Take note of how important playing around vision becomes to position. This TA's overconfidence stepping alone across the river leads to a huge loss of momentum for the Radiant side. The observer ward on the high ground scouts her movement. All the net worth in the world couldn't save you from this misstep. The Gem of True Sight was lost, and momentum in what was seemingly a lost game begins to swing back in the Dire's favor. Grouping up when you're behind in net worth is almost always going to be the play. If your opponents are wise to it, they'll split the map and starve you out until they have every advantage in the book. Without patience and urges to end the game quickly by yourself will almost always lead to the game stalling out and giving your opponents that you were once crushing a chance to come back into the game. As the Radiant continues to play as individuals, the Dire takes many favorable trades in a row and the snowball the other way begins to build. The golden experience of our band exists for this reason. It requires the team with the lead to continue to play carefully as leads get wider. You can see the sense of desperation to take a fight as Radiant knows they've got a lead to take advantage of, but poor timing and inability to group up and play as a complete unit leads to them getting picked apart. Keeper of the Light continues to recall his teammates one at a time, like a feeding machine to the enemy team. The severe lack of damage we once had doesn't matter with a Spirit Vessel and a numbers advantage. This clip goes through 3 minutes of game time, in which the most farmed heroes on the map all manage to die multiple times, and that one's 14k lead gets cut in half. You can really see that having a numbers advantage gives you options, and we have an easy time playing around one hero.
A dominating performance.
Positioning during a siege is always going to be a unique process. Here you can see the Dire caught out of position to defend the base as I've gone for a kill on Bloodseeker. TA can't seem to believe she gets to hit these racks. By the time I've moved into position to fight, I forgot detection and don't get to hex TA. Every item in my inventory ends up counting here, as well as the Crimson Guard. Damage block is one of the more effective ways at dealing with minus armor. By succeeding the hold with only losing the tier 3 tower, the game is fully in our control. Riki, who went mid against TA and left the laning stage at the very bottom of the network, has climbed back to become one of the strongest heroes in the game.
Double kill.
As we push out of the base, we decide to ward up Roshan. We immediately catch Lion under our wards and begin the Roshan.
They're unstoppable.
Riki scouts things out as the rest of us hit the Roshan. Bloodseeker gets caught in the same exact spot as Lion. Keeper steps too far forward trying to help Bloodseeker and gets caught by Clockwork. Shaman gets the Hex on TA but doesn't follow up with a Shackle, allowing the TA to BKB. Weaver steps too far forward on the enemy high ground and gets ruptured and silenced. These two mistakes end up costing us the Roshan, and later, the whole game. Positioning is always going to be a messy thing, and one misplay can result in your once good positioning getting you killed. There's a lot of factors involved, and it's important to not get too bent up about one mistake. It's a team game after all. DPS calculations come heavily into play in this clip, as the spells come out disabling the storm and getting him quite low. However, DPS drops to 0 as soon as they run out of spells and don't have the move speed advantage to chase, resulting in a turnaround kill. Here we can see a would-be neutral situation get me killed as I walk up high ground into a smoke shaman. Had I gone on the high ground, I could have avoided the cast range of Shackle and retreated. A minute later, we attempt an offensive play on Juggernaut and bait the spin. Shaman then attempts to make an offensive move onto me, but Jug realizes without spin, DPS is lacking and backs off, letting Shaman die for his mistake. As we chase Jug, an unexpected crit in combination with Omni Slash coming off cooldown kills Weaver and me. We were in a good spot to chase Jug down until this happened. Good positioning can get thrown out the window by bad execution. On a warding mission, I ran into the other support alchemist on the enemy team. He goofily chases me over to my drow, who we could clearly see leaving the lane and walking over. He needed to do over 1,000 physical damage to me, and he was by himself, so I don't know what he was thinking. TA thinks she's safe, and I call Drow to follow me and kill TA. With the vision advantage, it's easy peasy. Note how we wait to walk high ground till she can't see us walk up, and we're out of her vision. We don't give her a chance to react and use meld as I don't have detection. In an attempt to start a fight under our vision, we elect to stable and get scouted, and TA is allowed to retreat. Auk's attempt to reinitiate is not successful. Throw my spells in urn and back up to a faraway high ground, TP to a lane to farm. As the enemy team chases out of their base, they catch Pudge out, but it takes a while to kill him. Weaver is in a good spot, and me and Drow are both in a good position to rotate over, as we'll be on the high ground. Storm is far away, but the fight lasts long enough for him to show up near the end and clean up. Me and Drow chase down Jug, sentries, and slow him down just enough to kill. Grouped up as 5 now and the enemy carry isolated and killed, we're in a great spot to take the rest of the fight. However, Drow attempts to lead the way and immediately gets picked. I miss position trying to kill Shaman. Pudge gets to do enough damage to get TA low, and Storm finally arrives.
Thanks for playing Dota 2. Double kill.
Finally, I want to use this clip as an example of how difficult it can be to position versus a hero like Storm Spirit. Look at the minimap where Storm initiates from. The capability of being able to kill a hero from 10,000 units away makes it impossible to position. To summarize, being in position means we have options, both offensive and defensive. Being out of position means we've got only one option: go in and die. All the information presented to you is important to positioning, and you need to be able to calculate EHP and DPS. Good luck, have fun.